Ooh. All right, microphone test. Oh, hold up. See, glad I did that test. Hold on, wait a second. Actually, it might have just been my headset. All right, I think everything's good. It's been a minute since I streamed. Honestly, since like phase three really got kicked off. And hold up, I guess I should buff myself. There's been a lot going on, so y'all know what time it is. It's time for Soul to get in there, give his breakdowns, his talks, talk about a lot of stuff. And the first thing I want to talk about, I kind of already did my initial phase three feelings and stuff like that. But now that the dust has settled, Blizzard has done the nerfs to ST. There are class tuning changes coming up on reset day on Tuesday. It's time to talk about some stuff, and I want to talk about the feedback, the responses, the overall feel in my experience. This is not, I'm not saying this is what every player is feeling, but just kind of the overall scope of what I think Phase 3 has been thus far. Let's start. There is a YouTuber that I wanna comment on his community post. We're gonna go through that a little bit later once I get to my destination on this Warlock. But let's start with just overall Phase 3, how it launched, how it felt, so on and so forth. So to keep it a stack, I did not play launch at Phase 3. I was at work. So for me, Phase 3 launched at 4 p.m. I was gone until about maybe 10 p.m. So 6 hours I didn't play. About 7 hours I didn't play. When I did get online, I was able to sit down, after the kids were taken care of, and I was really able to, sink the teeth into what was Phase 3. I quickly found out that incursions were just the end all be all for leveling. Point blank period. There was nothing even close. And what's crazy? I got on and I opened my guild log. I looked at everybody. Everybody was about 44, 45. There was like one or two people who were like 47. But for the most part, they were in the mid 40s, right? So me at level 40, I'm already trying to get locked in. I bought Red Bull, which energy drinks I never drink, ever. I always just opt to either get water or get like some tea or something to keep me up. But I never, get Monster drinks or Red Bull or anything like that. But after working or being at work for basically all day, I felt like I needed the energy to kind of overcome the night grind. So I was like, all right, got the Red Bull, got the snacks ready, so on and so forth. I'm going to drown. Actually, this is not drowning. This is fatigue. So I get in there and I'm ready. I'm setting up my RXP. I already had a mindset like, okay, the first thing I need to do is go get the cozy bag because I never really did that quest on my Warlock. But I felt like by the time I was going to do it, it would just be more beneficial to wait till Phase 3 ends. I can get the XP from actually doing the quest, and I would get all that student fodder to help me along my way. I was fully prepared to go to SM after I got the cozy sleeping bag, go to Cathedral, grind out to 42, 43-ish, hop out of there, go to Zul'Farrak, grind that way to like maybe 45, 46-ish, hop out of there, go to Murder. You see what I'm talking about. Nope, that plan got immediately torpedoed when I found out that incursions were just the end-all be-all. You gained so much gold and so much experience that it just completely overshadowed any other style of leveling if efficiency is what you're into. If you don't care about efficiency, if you don't care about, being 50 at a certain time, if you're not really part of a raid group or whatever, it didn't really matter. Then you could do whatever you want. You could dungeon grind, you can quest, you could do whatever. But if you were like me and you wanted to meet like a certain amount of goals in a short amount of time, incursions were the end all be all. And when I got the incursions, I was hitting licks. They were 5 gold per quest turn, and it was something around like 7,000 or 8,000 experience before the nerf. So incursions really were the end all be all to leveling for a person like me. Despite the fact that they took very, very minimal effort, like especially since we were skipping all the kill quests, doing Ashenvale incursion loops really were easy. So it was kind of a no-brainer just to kind of focus all of my energy into that. You pick up a couple of quests, you figure out which ones you don't want. I believe it's 4 through 6 and 13 through 18 are the good ones. You avoid all of the profession quests, and we were avoiding 1 through 3 at the time because the kill quest just took too long, right? So yeah, I hit 40 to 49 in about 7 hours of play. About 6 to 7 hours of play. Because I did play from like 10 p.m. to about 5 to 6 a.m. So in that time, I was able to hit 40 to 49. And honestly, it was kind of low maintenance. I had, my Netflix on, had my stars on. I was watching all my shows, and I'm talking to friends in Discord. And I'm just kind of having a good old time clicking quest turn-ins. And for a person like me who kind of weighs efficiency a little bit on the higher scale, it was pretty great. Then I started getting the DMs and just reading different communities from different Discords and stuff like that. Just basically trashing incursions. I hope I'm going the right way because I don't even know if this is going to work. But I'm trying to get into Moonglade, and I have no idea how to get into there without being a druid. I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. I hope this is the right way. But anyway, I saw people just kind of trashing incursions. Like, this is the worst leveling experience. The gold is bad. Everything is just bad about incursions. And I will say this, incursions did come with their fair share of bugs. Like, mid Ashenvale incursion loop, my group ran into bugs where we had to log out and log back in, things that were actively getting hot fixed as we were playing. So I will say incursions did have its fair share of bugs and tweaks and things that needed to be changed on the fly by Blizzard. We'll say that. Let me see if this is the right way. Don't know. Okay. But after that, after the tweaks kind of got implemented, and I didn't really see any bugs after we did the initial log out and log in. So I can't really speak to the experience on I was witnessing all these bugs. I did witness a few. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this isn't the right way. I'm about to read this because I'm pretty sure I'm going the wrong way, and I really don't have time to go the wrong way. I'm trying to figure out how you get into Ashenvale. Let me see. That's not the right thing. I gotta turn this brightness off when I'm doing this. Boom. All right. How do you get in Ashenvale? Blah, 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 blah. Then you can travel northeast, swimming, hugging the coast until you can get a notification. Okay, I haven't got that notification yet. All right, no doubt. No doubt. Anyway. So, yeah, when it comes to bugs on incursions, yeah, I didn't really experience egregious bugs. There were some. I couldn't turn in certain quests. I was killing things that I wasn't getting credit for. Certain boss tags I didn't get credit for certain times. NPCs wouldn't give me the quest items. So there were a few, for sure. But nothing that was wholeheartedly game-breaking for me, in my opinion. Like I said, I was able to go from 40 to 49 really in one sitting, one play session after taking care of IRL stuff. Got on the next day at 49, leveled to 50 pretty handily, and continued about my business into phase 3. And that being said, I kind of transitioned from the leveling woes to, okay, now what does endgame look like? What does Sunken Temple look like? What does the gearing process look like? What does the gear look like? All of that stuff. And I will say there's been very, very fluctuating, very, very fluctuating, opinions, we'll say, on the difficulty of Sunken Temple, right? The type of gear that we're getting, right? Because it doesn't really seem to be that big of an upgrade. And this is what I want to point to when I talk about looking at a certain YouTuber. And I want to look at Kaltorak. He's a mage YouTuber, or he does a lot of mage content, I should say. It's actually pretty dope. When I was leveling my mage, I turned to a lot of his videos for help and kind of guidance on runes and stuff like that. But he had made a post. I'm going to quickly put it up on stream right quick, as soon as I find his channel. He had made a post questioning, or maybe questioning is the wrong word, but here it is. Criticizing, we'll say. Not questioning, but criticizing. And it was really criticizing phase 3. And he has a list of things that, well, a small list in his words, of things that were wrong with Phase 3. And I kind of want to go through these point by point and just kind of break them down, give my opinions on them and stuff like that. So, real quick, let's just read what he says. Gotta say that the launch of Phase 3 has been pretty embarrassing. I'm not really sure what to call it, but this phase has launched with so many problems and bugs. Here is a small list of things. And I'm gonna start right there and say, honestly, to be quite frank, a lot of major releases do come with bugs. Whether there's a PTR or not, whether people have play tested things or not, major launches come with server errors, come with bugs, come with login errors. All that stuff is a lot par for the course for Blizzard. For any big game that has access to millions of people as a player base that are all logging in, or not, maybe not all, but let's just say 40 or 45% of them are all trying to log in at the same time. You're gonna have some issues, right? So let's keep reading. Raid horribly overtuned on launch. Some bosses being nerfed over 50% is insane. This is a one that I see a lot, but not really. I don't think overtuned is the right word for it, because let's keep it a buck. A lot of those first time guilds who were doing this stuff, they had like 14 or 15 mages, and they were still clearing 5 of 8, 6 of 8. They really didn't have a problem until they reached Hazaz and Morphaz, right? Or until they reached Aranicus. So when you're clearing a raid and all of your DPS and one of your healers are all the same class, and you're still clearing more than half of it, I don't know if overtuned is the right word. Now, you can argue that, hey, those are the best of the best. Those are the sweatiest of the sweatiest. Those are the ones who are writing the guides and doing the research and all that stuff. And all that is well and good. But at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that a lot of them are on alts. A lot of them just pick mages just to be a part of that race, and they're still clearing half the raid. Let's keep it a stack, right? So I don't know if overtuned is the word I would use. Now, I damn sure wouldn't call it horribly overtuned, because while I will say nerfing a boss over 50%, I think he's talking about Dream Scythe and Weaver. I think they got nerfed by like 56%. That is a lot. I'm not going to say it's not. Again, these bosses were being killed by all mages. Mages are great DPS, don't get me wrong. They're nowhere near the top, though. They're not hunters, right? They're not rogues. So it's a little bit different in my opinion. I don't know if I would call it horribly overtuned. Slightly overtuned, yeah. I would say maybe overtuned in the health category, probably. A lot of people are making comparisons to like these bosses in Ragnaros, and I don't really see the point in that. This is SOD, right? Like, Thermoplug had more armor than Ragnaros. Who cares? It's Ragnaros from however many years ago. It doesn't really matter. He's been irrelevant for a very, very long time. So I don't know why he was the benchmark, to be quite honest with you. Like, and it's not like we're going to get the same Ragnaros that we got back in 2019 when this first launched, or back in 2004 when WoW came out. So I don't know why people are comparing him to Ragnaros. Really is a moot point in my opinion. But the raid being horribly overtuned to me is kind of an oversight. Was it overtuned? Some would say yes. I would say probably in terms of health matters. I don't really know in terms of damage taken. Because when I was even watching, like I would watch Sarth's stream or I watch Crix's stream, I'm specifically looking at the damage patterns, right? And it seemed like the quote-unquote difficult bosses had clear-cut damage patterns. Looking at Dream Scythe and Weaver, right? You engage the fight. The tanks take a stacking dot, so there's consistent tank damage, right? And then when they go off to their knockback phase, knockback happens, you resume back to tank damage. So it's tank damage, knockback, tank damage. It's pretty consistent. Looking at Jamal and Ogam, I think those are the names, right? If you have, and before we knew that they were switching their mechanics, but we all first saw the priest. He would put Shadow Word Pain on people using AoE penance. Put Shadow Word Pain on people using AoE penance. It really wasn't this super, non-scripted thing where healers couldn't wrap their heads around it. And I think that's why a lot of the guilds kind of just moped over the first couple bosses, even with their increased health pools, because there wasn't really a lot going on mechanics-wise. Yeah, they had a lot of health, but they didn't really do a lot of damage, especially on the tank side. They really didn't do a lot of damage. Both when I was watching a stream and when I was able to tank it myself, I didn't really feel in danger at any really given point, outside of egregious things like maybe like 3 stacks of Aranicus's breath or 3 stacks of Dream Scythe's breath. Like, other than that, you're not really in complete danger, to be quite honest with you. So on the health side, I would say yes. On the damage side, I don't know if I would consider it horribly overtuned. So I don't agree with that first post. The next one is Some runes are horrible. Some runes horribly difficult or expensive to get, including some that are time gated or require other classes. And when this part right here, I'll highlight it. He's probably, I don't know for sure, but he's probably talking about the paladin and the paladin, the mage, and the warlock runes are the one I know so far. When he's saying time gated, I think the paladins have a rune that they can only get at nighttime, which I don't know if that's a time gate. like I get it. The oh, but what if you can only play during the day? It's like that's not real. That's not really a real point. Like there's very, very, very few people, probably a number that I can count on one hand, not using two of my fingers, that have people that I met that specifically have to get off once the sun is at dusk or something like that. Like that's not real. That you could only play during. Like sure, you can probably do the majority of your play during a certain time of day, but there's time to go get a rune. Like even if the rune is only available at night. Let's be real. Come on. The other one is requiring other classes. We've seen this since phase one. Like we've seen this part since phase one. Like mages themselves, for I think the burnout rune, there's if you're an alliance player, you got to melt the murloc, right? And you either get another mage or you get a warlock to help you. It's the same thing. Now the difficulty is a lot lower in that sense because it's level 25. Like they're not gonna require you to go get a raid for a level 25 rune. LOL meta warlock. But yeah, that was happening at level 25. At level 50, things should be a little bit more difficult. And this part is he's probably talking about the ley line runes where you need either a warlock to get the item from the explorer and portals, or a mage with the scrolls to get the same item, or maybe a similar item from the portals, and then you can get your rune. But like I said before, we've been needing other classes since phase one, so them continuing it on in phase three, it's the same thing. It's par for the course. So I don't know why he's pretending like he's shocked at that part to my the way I read it. As far as horribly expensive, I don't know of any rune that was expensive. Maybe if you're buying the items outright, like if you're buying the scrolls to go get your leyline rune, or you're buying the item off the auction house from warlocks to get that rune, maybe. Like on my server, I think I'll show you what it's called. I know it's for the rune backdraft for warlocks. I don't know what mages get per se. Where am I? Oh, I think I'm in Moonglade. I think this is Moonglade. Okay. But the item, oh, you can't even see it, but it's called World Core Fragment. I didn't feel like moving my camera, my bad. But the World Core Fragment on my server is 5 gold. 5 gold on my server could be 15 gold another place. So it might be expensive where he's at. I'm not going to say he's wrong in that, but my experience, haven't really seen any expensive rune. Like the rep rune costs 2 gold. Most of the other runes are just kill quests. Go here, loot this item, loot this item, loot this item, combine it. Go here, kill this NPC, get it. Like, I haven't really seen a super expensive rune or something that I would deem horribly expensive. So I don't think I agree with that one either. Next is the Blood Moon event. He says Blood Moon event again with horrid rewards and honor gains compared to phase 2. This one I'll give some grace on because I do think that for a lot of the classes, the Blood Moon event really didn't have great rewards. Let's be real. Unless you played, like with the exception of Druid, Paladin, and Shaman, because I think those classes really got good items from Blood Moon, especially if you're a healer. Like those trinkets are really dope. I didn't really see too much. I guess Paladins got that two-handed sword, but or maybe it was Warrior. But you know what? To end off speculation, let's just look at the list real quick. So this is a list of all of the phase 3 items you get from Blood Moon. And like I said, the Talisman of Corrupted Grove for Druids, the Librum, no, not the Librum, my bad, Bloodlight Reverence for Paladins, and the Ancestral Voodoo Doll for Shamans. Those are all really good items. Like looking at that, 29 healing spell power, 7 MP5, and 8 stamina is a phenomenal trinket. Like I could see that trinket being used, throughout the rest of the phase, probably into phase 4, maybe into phase 5. That's a really good trinket. The opposite end of that spectrum is like the mage rings, right? Like these, and I'll say warlock too because it's kind of the same thing, but the caster rings really are pretty lackluster. So let's look at the warlock one because I'm most familiar with that one. So the Loop of Burning Blood, this is the phase 3 ring. You get 14 stam, 4 int, and 17 spell power, right? This is phase 3. The phase 2 ring gave 8 stamina, 8 intellect, and 13 fire spell power. Those numbers are not, you know, by and large, not too far apart from each other. One could even say that if you have the phase 2 ring, there's really no rush or honestly no need to go get the Loop of Burning Blood, especially if it costs 15 silver coins and you don't have it. If you haven't been doing Blood Moon, then there really isn't really much of a point. What they should have done here is if you bought the phase 2 ring, you turn in the old ring and get the next ring at a drastic discount. So like instead of 15, maybe it costs 2, but you lose the old ring because there will be no need. You bought this ring, right? You can't wear both of them, so there would be no need to have 2 of the same ring. So that's what they should have did. But yeah, like these rings are really not by and large that much better for the amount of effort they take to get if you haven't been stockpiling coins. Same thing with the mage rings, same thing with the priest rings. It's kind of funny that the priest is the only class or healing class that didn't get a trinket, but I can maybe, playing devil's advocate, I can see why, because it's like priests have been dominating the healing chart since phase 1. And I guess giving the other healing classes this trinket is a way to kind of catch them up in power, so to speak. I don't know. I'm just kind of speculating. But if priests got the same trinket, there's no way any of these other classes would catch up. Priests would just still be better. So I can kind of understand not giving the strongest healer class a super powerful healing trinket. I could understand that. But yeah, I won't call all of the Blood Moon items bad because some of them are pretty good. The upgrade to the Ritualist Hammer for Druids, I think, is pretty solid. Like 30 stamina, 15 agility, 11 strength, and 114 attack power is phenomenal. So that's a pretty good upgrade going from the old one. I think that's pretty solid. Like I said, I think the trinkets for the healing classes are pretty solid. I think the Headhunter's Barb Spear is interesting. It's a thrown item that you can use to immobilize somebody. It's interesting to say the least. It's pretty cool for PvP. The Corrupted Smashbringer I also think is a nice weapon for two-handed shamans. Knocks the target silly for 2 seconds. Plus 15 strength, 28 stamina. It's a lot of stamina. So the Rogue Dagger I think is pretty dope. So there are some pretty good items, but all items aren't made equal. And I think that's probably what he's getting at when he's talking about the Blood Moon hard rewards, because Counteract does a lot of mage content. It's probably safe to assume he plays mage. So if he's a mage and he sees rings that give 3 more spell power but 4 less intellect, he's probably not going to be too happy about it, especially if he doesn't have any silver coins and he has to go get 15 coins all over again. So I can understand that. Him saying the Blood Moon event again kind of dictates that he doesn't like the Blood Moon event, and I mean, he's fair. That's fair. I personally disagree. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I like the Blood Moon event, right? I like the Blood Moon event. I think it's quick enough that it doesn't overstay its welcome, and it's fun. It's actually fun PvP once you get a working group. It's pretty fun. Even if you're by yourself and you're just like huddling around the altar and you're just picking off kills when you can, it never feels overbearing, right? Like if you're playing Warsong Gulch and your team is losing, you just kind of got to wait out the loss, and it just becomes horrible. Sometimes the team just, graveyard camps you. Like it's just a slog. But Blood Moon event never felt like that to me, even when I did, certain ones by myself. So I have a difference in experience with Blood Moon, but he might just not like Blood Moon event, and maybe he just doesn't like PvP. But I'll give him some grace on the rewards. I really do think that Blizzard could have done better getting better rewards across the board, not just handpicking specific classes for good rewards. The next one, incursions, we kind of talked about it. I'll go into it real quick because he kind of dictates some things here or notes some things here. He says, day 1 gold problems to all the tweaks and changes they're still making. Gold problems is an interesting way to say that. I'll say this, and this is capitalist soul. So if this ain't if that's not your bag, you might want to skip this part once I post it, or maybe go make a sandwich. But here, in my opinion, here's what the real problem with the massive influx of gold was for incursions. Remember, I started playing right at the I played during launch, so I kind of got to experience the gold influx. I was getting 5 gold, or maybe like 5.1 gold per quest turn-in, right? And that's a lot of gold when you're doing if you want to do quick math, if you have 6 quests, right? Because we didn't always get our group always didn't get the ideal quest. Sometimes we got all of them. Sometimes we didn't get all of them. Sometimes we were able to complete all of them, so on and so forth. But on average, I think it's safe to say that we completed 5 quests per turn in. I think that's fairly safe to say, right? 5 quests per turn in. If you just math that out and you say, all right, there's from 40 to 41, there's 10 turn-ins, there's 5 quests per turn-in, right? You get 5 gold per quest, right? 25 gold per circuit turn-in for 10 circuits, right? That's a lot of gold to be made when you're talking about that much gold from 40 to 50. Now, granted, they hotfixed it immediately. It was kind of like a shadow hotfix midway through our leveling circuit. So that 5 gold quickly turned to 1.3 gold. So I didn't get a chance to experience the maximum amount the whole way through, but I got a fair amount of time with it. The problem with it is not really much for the people who either A, already had gold, B, know how to make gold, or C, know how to flip gold, or just don't spend it. The problem is for people who really don't fall into those categories. If you don't know how to make gold and you're egregiously spending it and with no recoup, right, no re-up, it's going to be a problem. It's like giving a person 500 gold and what are they going to most likely do, right? They're going to buy a couple of pieces of gear to fill in some gaps. They're going to buy some consumables. They're going to spend it on a mount if they didn't have one already, right? They're going to just buy things and have no way to replace it, no way to return the profit on their expenses. So all that means is they're just putting gold into the economy with no recoup, right? That only benefits the people who are taking advantage of either the buyer-seller's market on the economy, people who really invest into their profession. So if you're an enchanting person, if you're an alchemist, if you're a blacksmith and you're making things consistently for people and you're getting that influx of gold in and people are just spending, that only benefits you because you know how to make the gold. The other person doesn't. And that's probably the real problem with a massive influx of gold like that for the masses, because it's not really hard to go get a quest, go turn it in, and get 5 gold. That's light work, right? But if you don't know how to make gold, that 500 gold is going like that, going immediately. Especially before you even get to endgame, where you got to spend gold on Nightmare Seas, where you got to spend gold on the new max consumes, when you got to spend gold on, if you don't have a gathering profession, leveling your profession. Like, these are things that's going to take money, and if you don't have a way to get it back, you can only quest one time. Like right now at max level, I think an incursion loop per quest turn in, I think it gives me like 30 silver. So incursions aren't even profitable at level 50. They kind of maybe could be, but you'd have to do a lot. 30 silver is a far decrease from 5 gold. So that's the real problem with the gold influx from incursions, is all you have is a lot of people who don't know how to re-up their gold or don't know how to make a turn of profit on their gold, just spending, which is feeding the economy, yes, which is pretty good for the economy, but it's only good for the people who can control the economy. For people who have bags and alts and bank spaces worth of mass, they can say, oh, I can monopolize the bronze bar market because A, there's no bronze bar on the market. B, I know people are leveling stuff because they got the gold from incursions, and now I can set the tone. So it only benefits the people who already had the gold versus people who don't really know how to gold farm or kind of just, for lack of a better term, casually playing with it. Other than that, I don't really have anything too bad to say about incursions. Like I said, for a person like me who kind of values efficiency, right? Especially because I'm a dad gamer. I got kids. I got outside responsibilities. I don't really have the means to sit and quest. Like questing doesn't take too terribly long, but there's a difference when you're spending an hour questing and you get 3-4 quests done for half a level, or you spend an hour doing incursions and you get 3 to 4 levels done. It's different. It's just different. So incursions to me were not only a nice break pace from what I was planning to do, because remember when I said when I got home, my plan was to do the cozy bag quest, get the fodder food, get the sleeping bag, hit up Cathedral till 42, hit up Zul'Farrak till about 44, 45, hit up Moradon until about 48, 49, and then go to Black Rock Depths. So I just kind of had a path that really didn't include questing. Maybe I would have taken a break here and there for questing, but It was do this dungeon grind, do this dungeon grind, do this dungeon grind, do this dungeon grind. And incursions just allowed me to kind of turn off my brain a little bit and just kind of just turn in quests and get gold. Like the gold was really the afterthought, right? Because I always kind of had gold. I like when talking about that capitalist thing, I fall into the bag of I'm not really a great farmer. Like I'm not the person who's gonna go out and fill his bags and his bank spaces with ore or herbs. But what I will do is sit in front of the auction house for about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and just buy low and sell high. Because that's kind of how I've been accustomed to making my money on Classic since I started in TBC. So that's kind of my experience with all that. But yeah, the gold thing is only bad for the people who don't know how to make the gold. It only benefits, and that's wrong. I get it. I'm not saying that's right. That's wrong, right? You can't have, at least Blizzard's mindset. You can't have only one subsect of people benefiting from something and not the other. There has to be equal footing or near equal footing across all levels. So I can get that. Other than that, incursions were, to me, a decent alternative because there was nothing stopping me from going to quest. There was nothing stopping me from just doing my dungeon grind plan. It's just incursions were too good. And too good might be a stretch because too good implies that too good only matters if you care about hitting 50 at a certain point or trying to get that first lockout in. If you didn't care about that kind of thing, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. If you needed the gold, I would say do incursions, but it doesn't really matter. So I don't know. He doesn't really elaborate. All he says is day one gold problems. He doesn't really say what the problem is. I'm only alluding to what I think he means. And the fact that they're still making changes, isn't that what you want? If there's problems, if there's day one problems with incursions and with gold, wouldn't making the changes is what you want them to do? So I don't know. I don't know about that one, Kaltorak. If this reaches your eyes, I don't know about that one. Next one, dungeon loot not dropping bug. That's a bug. That's a bug fix. Like I wouldn't even put this on here. Like that's clearly not intended. It's clearly not intended for a person to go into whatever dungeon, go into Moradon, kill princess, and princess not drop anything. I don't know why he put that on there. Like that's happened to me. I've done my Mara runs where I'm farming wild offerings and princess has not dropped anything, or she's dropped like a green axe or something like yeah. I've had that happen. That's clearly a bug. Like I don't put bugs. Like I don't put blatant and obvious bugs. I don't fault that for Blizzard because bugs can happen whether a patch is new, patch is old, patch is whatever. It's a bug. Like it's gonna get fixed. Next. Converting items that weren't unique to unique several days after the patch after people already grinded the items. So this one's pretty interesting. I know what he's talking about. He's probably talking about like the Breath of the Wilds. Is that really what the trinket is called? Like I don't know if that's what it's called. Let me see. I could have just made that up thinking about Zelda stuff. Let me see. I don't really know. Oh no, Breath of the Beast. My bad. Breath of the Beast. I said Breath of the Wild. That's crazy. Anyway, but yeah, he's talking about this. Can I scale this up? Let me see. Whoa. Oh, hold on. This is a kid stream. So what are you doing? I know I can. Stop doing it. Why does it keep doing that? Jesus. There we go. Atlas loot. Let me see. No, I don't need to reset it. I just want to change the scale. Whatever. You guys can see it. Anyway, he's talking about this, Breath of the Beast. It gives you 1% hit and 1% crit. Before they fixed it, this was not unique. So you could equip this. You could buy two of them, and then you'd have 2% crit and 2% hit. Pretty strong. Pretty strong. And he's saying the problem is that people, mad people, insane people, farmed 24 wild offerings, bought both of them, and they hotfixed it, so now they basically have a useless item. And I can understand that. I can definitely understand that, although I think a semi-experienced person could have read between the lines and said, okay, this is probably not something that they want to be not unique, right? All right, like I'll give you an example. For a while during my my dungeon grinding and stuff like that, even after it, when I was just doing the wild offering grind, I had 2 sets of bracers, one with the Felguard on it, one with Immolation Aura on it. What I would do is I would equip the Felguard ones, summon my Felguard, use Demonic Sacrifice, switch to the other bracers, and then immediately turn on Immolation Aura, right? So now I had all of the demonic sacrifice buffs, and then I had Immolation Aura. So I was using the power of 2 runes. That clearly wasn't intended. Clearly was not intended. They did not want people to have that kind of power. Same thing goes for mages, right? I think mages had the Molten Armor rune, where you equip it, turn on Molten Armor, and then you get a new piece of the same slot and use whatever other rune is on that piece, right? So now you had the benefit of getting, I think Molten Armor uses 5% crit. So you get the 5% crit from Molten Armor, and then you get the power of whatever other rune is in that slot by swapping items. It's clear and unintended. I won't say that the Breath of the Beast wasn't clear, because it could have been, some people could say it was a little bit ambiguous, a little bit vague, but if you've played WoW for a certain amount of time, you probably can see that, okay, I shouldn't be able to buy these 2 things. So if I'm going to do this, I need to do this with an air of caution, right? That could just be me, like copium. Like that could just be me, elitist brain me, saying that people should have read between the lines and so on to the future. But that's honestly how I would have approached it. I never once thought about buying both of those. I said it to other people. I was like, yo, it's not unique so far. They're probably going to change it. But if you do want to buy 2, you can get a 2% crit, 2% hit boost. But I can understand him saying that if you're a person who did farm 24 wild offerings, you bought 2 of them, now that they're unique, you basically have a dead one, and you can't, to my knowledge, you can't get those wild offerings back. I can understand the frustration on that one, so I'll agree with that one. That one's kind of annoying. The next one, the silliness around the flasks Zanza potion. Seriously, this is brain dead. So I'm not understanding what the issue is here. Is he's upset that it's easy to get them? Because just before you were saying the raid was over 2 and all that. I don't know. I don't know. There's not enough information for me. Just calling something silly is subjective. I don't know. I don't know about that one. And then we have the insane gains Horde get from Shamanistic Rage mana returns. This isn't really phase 3 indicative. This was happening in phase 2. Like, I don't know if I would just say phase 3, that this is a phase 3 thing, but we could talk about it. So yeah, if you don't know Shamanistic Rage, let's bring it up a little bit real quick. Hold up. You know I like my visuals. So, talent calculator, shaman. I don't even know which rune slot Shamanistic Rage is on. Let's see. There it is. Shamanistic Rage. So it's the leg slot rune. Reduces all damage you take. I mean, you know what? Let me bring up the tooltip because I want to see cooldowns and stuff like that. Let me see. I thought I would. There it is. Let's see. It's a 1 minute cooldown. All right, that's a little nutty. All right, so Shamanistic Rage, 1 minute cooldown, reduces all damage you take by 20%, and you regenerate 5% of your maximum mana every second for 15 seconds. Your party and raid members within 40 yards will also receive 20% of the mana you receive this way. Okay. So it's been reported that Shamanistic Rage is just giving upwards of like 300 mana or something like that in short spurt, like crazy amounts of mana. Those numbers are wrong. I would have to look at a log, put up one of the old logs to show you. But basically, Shamanistic Rage, because it's so short, it's on a minute cooldown, right? Shamans not only obviously are doing great damage. Shamans are great damage dealers. They're great tanks. They're solid healers. And let me look at the leg slot real quick. So unless you can't use this as a tank shaman, but every other shaman can make use of Shamanistic Rage. Resto shamans, LE shamans, and enhanced DPS shamans. Shamanistic Rage is just giving so much mana to the raid group that I won't say it's trivializing. I won't say it's trivializing the raid itself, but it's definitely all but removing the mana strain on healers. Let me see. Blizz needs to bank up and pay to suffer. A game always was. I'm not sure what that comment means, but I respect you commenting for me. But anyway, Shamanistic Rage. So you might ask yourself, all right, bet Horde gets Shamanistic Rage. Well, what's the Alliance equivalent? Well, the Alliance equivalent, to my knowledge, is Seal of the Martyr on Paladins. And it's the first thing up there. All right, so it fills you with the Holy Spirit, causing each of your melee attacks to deal 50% weapon damage, but you lose health equal to 10% of damage inflicted, right? While this seal is active, your party and raid members within 40 yards each gain 20% of the damage you take as mana when done this way. And just looking at a side-by-side comparison, you can read Seal of the Martyr and Shamanistic Rage and automatically say, okay, and I'll even go into the Paladin one and show you. These two things are not equal. I don't know if Seal of the Martyr is on the leg slot. It is not. Where are you, Seal of the Martyr? Here it is. It's on the chest slot. So I guess the one benefit is, no, it's on the same slot as Divine Storm. I was going to say the one benefit is doesn't have too much competition for rets like the others ones do, but it's on the Divine Storm slot, so it's kind of weird. But anyway, you can kind of look at Seal of the Martyrdom and say, that doesn't really feel like it's better, or it's equivalent, I'll say, not even better, but equivalent to Sham Rage. Because even if we look at, you know what, I'll do a quick log breeze because I'm going to try to be as visual as I can with this. We'll go to Warcraft logs. We'll do a quick log breeze at some shamans and see how much mana Shamanistic Rage is giving versus how much mana Seal of the Martyr is giving. I would say Shade of Arena because it's a pretty lengthy fight. Not lengthy, but it's not dying in 30 seconds, right? So, yeah, let's look at Arrival. Let's see if this person actually used Shamanistic Rage. It's a leg slot item, right? So where's the legs at? Legs. He did use Shamanistic Rage. Okay. So this kill was 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Resources. Mana. And there it is. Oh, actually, you know what? And this is just from him. So I want to say one of these is the mana he gained, and one of these is the mana the raid gained. So let's see if I can differentiate it. Let's look at events. Shamanistic Rage. Here we go. And they still have Mana Spring totem. Nutty. Anyway, well, I guess Mana Spring is kind of like Blessing Wisdom. But anyway, Shamanistic Rage. 182, 183, 182, 183, 182. I want to say this Shamanistic Rage might be from another. Yeah, this is another shaman. So it looks like his Shamanistic Rage is giving about 180 mana per time it's going, and he's getting other. Oh, it depends. It's all dependent, but you can see here. You can just see the numbers here. Raw mana gain 3,500. Raw mana gain 1,700. One of these is from him. One of these I would say is probably from another shaman. It's simple to denote, right? Let's duplicate this, and let's look at a paladin. Probably a ret paladin, because I don't know if Prot would really use Seal of the Martyrdom. But let's look at paladin DPS. So there's not really many fast kill times as fast as his. Let's see. I'll find one. Let's look at this one. Resources. Actually, I don't even know homie's name like that. I'm bugging. But anyway, mana. I'm going to assume it was this one. Yeah, you know what? Let's find someone who I can actually read their name, because this is rough. All right. Durations, try to find a fight with the similar times. Sure. Zeros. What a name. All right. Boom. We go to resources. We go to mana. We go to my boy here. And we have Seal of the Martyr doing 987. But on the flip, Judgment of Wisdom is giving, I imagine Judgment of Wisdom is for the raid. Let's just check it out. Judgment of Wisdom, events. I only see him for Judgment of Wisdom. Let me just see. Close it. Let's see. Nope, Judgment of Wisdom was working for other people. Okay, easy clap. All right, so I don't even have to worry about that part. So let's go back. So really we're comparing Judgment of Wisdom and Seal of the Martyrdom to Shamanistic Rage and other shamanistic rage. You can kind of compare Mana Spring, but who cares? So obviously these numbers aren't even equivalent, even close. These are two top tier people, right? This is a top tier Ret Paladin. This is a top tier enhanced DPS. Shamanistic Rage is on the high end, giving 3,500 mana, where Seal of the Martyr is giving 987, right? Now you can even if you combine the 987, let's just round it to 1K and 1,400, right? 2,400 total mana gained is still less than 3,500 from Shaman Rage, right? So I understand his plight when he's saying the insane horde gains from Shamanistic Rage returns, but I feel like this was a thing before phase 2 or phase 3. So I don't know why. It might not have been, but I feel like it was. Then he just goes into basically PTR was, this all could have been avoided if PTR was a thing. And he leads to the question, do you think PTR needs to come back? Yes, bring back PTR. This phase was a mess. No, don't bring back PTR. I don't care about the messy launch. And this is where I'm going to go into my last little kind of blog / rant / whatever you want to call it. With the PTR, I was always of the mindset that, and I do agree with him on some levels, that testing the PTR could have probably avoided such a knee-jerk reaction to the nerfs that they did to Sunken Temple. Sunken Temple wasn't out more than like 48 hours, and they blasted nerfs on Sunken Temple before even the masses were level 50, right? So I will say PTR testing probably could have avoided that. I'm also going to say that there's probably a way to do PTR testing without ruining where runes come from. Like you could literally launch do the PTR and only have the raid testable with people with your own gear equipped, whatever you want to call it. Like there's ways to get around it. Like I don't think it's not very believable for me to say that Blizzard has no way of allowing PTR testing without people trying to find out where runes come from, right? If that's their main concern. The next thing that makes me say PTR, they might as well put PTR testing in, is they allow data mining. Like, we have data mine runes for phase 4 right now. Before even phase 3 came out, we had data mine runes. So my thing is, if you're going to allow data mining, if you're not going to encrypt your data for the next phase and people are going to see what runes are coming out, then who cares if we do PTR testing in there on there? That's how I feel. Now, granted, yes, data mining doesn't tell you where it comes from. Data mining doesn't tell you how to get it, all of that stuff, what you need, what classes you may need, stuff, all of that good stuff. But it tells you what the rune is, which is basically what we want to know. Like, I did a video like last week of the Soul Link not working with Metamorphosis. That was data mined. That's not tied to any runes necessarily, but imagine how much more shocking, more controversial, more polarizing it would have been if we didn't data mine that. If we just logged on phase 3 and someone tried to use meta and use Soul Link and it didn't work, right? Now, granted, that one being data mined probably softened the blow a little bit, because yes, it sucks and I still think it sucks, but it's better that I know this isn't going to work going into it than me expecting it to work, especially in phase 2 where it was working and then it not working. So maybe data mining that was actually a blessing in disguise. But yeah, if you're not going to encrypt your text, if you're not going to encrypt, the data mine things, then you might as well allow PTR, because people are going to data mine everything. And yes, they say, oh, well, data mining isn't the end all be all. Data mining isn't, don't take data mining to heart. Like 90% of what it was data mined is in the game. I think to the thing that jumps off the top of my head, the only thing that I haven't seen that was data mined was like Decimation for Warlocks. And that might be coming in phase 4. That might just have been the phase 4 data mine, right? So if you're going to continue this stance of PTR dilutes the sense of discovery, then I would ask Blizzard, what does data mining do? The exact same thing, if not worse. And like I said, I fail to believe that Blizzard has no way to allow PTR testing to avoid things like this without having rune discoveries ruined. I fail to believe that. Blizzard is too big of a company to make too much money for me to believe that. And they could say it. They could sure they could say it all they want. They could say it to their blue in the face. We can't do this. You're lying, loser. You're lying. If that's the stance that they would take. I don't know where I'm going. But anyway, that's my stance with the data with the PTR thing. Do I think PTR should come back? I think PTR should only come back if they're going to continue allowing data mining. If they start encrypting their files and they start saying, you know what, we don't want things data mined, then you might as well not keep PTR either. But if you're going to allow people to continually data mine things, then you might as well release PTR as well and let people test it so you avoid having to nerf something 56% 24 hours after you release it. Just how I feel. Simple and clear. I'm really like stuck on. Oh, yeah, I'm going too far. I have no idea. All right, hold on. I know I did something wrong. You know what I was probably doing with this Moonglade thing? I probably should have, once I saw it say entering Moonglade, I probably should try to do like a log out skip or something. That's what I probably should have done. So I'm going to swim back and attempt to figure out a way to log myself into the real area of Moonglade. Overall, though, I'll say this about Phase 3. Now that a lot of the controversy has seemingly, I won't say the controversy has died down. At least the noise level has been turned down a little bit. The noise level has kind of been set to not minimum, but medium. I will say that overall, Phase 3 to me, the launch it's not that much different from any other major patch launch that I've experienced in Warcraft, whether it's retail, whether it's classic, whether it's whatever. There's going to be issues. There's going to be bug issues. There's going to be server issues. There's going to be a whole bunch of issues, right? That's par for the course. So that's how I feel about Phase 3. Me personally, on a personal level, I feel like they nerfed Sunken Temple too quickly. And granted, there is something that I wanted to bring up while I swim back here, because it was kind of brought up in a question of, is raiding in Season of Discovery too easy? And I think Agron was the one who actually responded to this, but I want to make sure I don't die here. And then we can read the post. So let's see it here. So Agron has a post here saying, here we go. Let's read what WoW has said first. After the Sunken Temple nerf, some players have expressed disappointment in the lack of challenge provided thus far as Season of Discovery. But this was completing difficult content was completing difficult content the overall goal of this seasonal experiment? WoW Classic senior game producer Josh Greenfield, which is Agron, has recently expressed his outlook on the topic. Hold on, I'm gonna just stop myself because I don't want to accidentally swim into fatigue area. We're gonna go over here and we're gonna see what he says and give my response. I'll try not to make it too drawn out. Here we go. So Agron responded saying, being very honest, the goal is for very semi-casual guilds to kill SOD raids fairly quickly, especially these level up raids. I'm sorry if your guild wants a heroic level challenge, but SOD just isn't that. I'm going to stop right there because there's a lot to unpack in that one sentence. Or two sentences, my bad. Number one, he says, being very honest, the goal is for very semi-casual guilds. I wonder what he and his team considers very semi-casual. Because semi-casual is a very, very broad adjective. So I don't know what he would consider semi-casual, right? But anyway, saying the goal is for very, very semi-casual guilds to kill SOD raids fairly quickly, especially these level up raids, which I can kind of understand. This is all fodder content. This is all level up content. None of it, quote unquote, really matters. What I mean by that is whether you step into Sunken Temple or not, right? You can not even step a pinky toe in Sunken Temple. Once Phase 4 comes out, you're just going to still level anyway. You're probably going to level a little bit faster with Sunken Temple gear, but it's not going to be so drastic that you need it to level. This is all leveling gear. That's all this is. We're just farming leveling gear. So I can understand what he means by having a level up raids not be too difficult. Then he says, I'm sorry if your guild wants a heroic level challenge, but SOD just isn't that. Now he says SOD. He didn't say Phase 3. He didn't say phase 3 or the previous phases. He straight up said SOD. So does that mean we're not really going to have any challenging content in SOD? So let's continue reading. The raid that went out last week was just very overtuned and far beyond our intent for a variety of reasons I won't bore you with here. Now, he says it's overtuned. So I guess if you go back to what I said about Kalturek when he said it was horribly overtuned, Agron is agreeing with him. So who am I to disagree? I'll say again, I disagree with both him and Agron. When half of the guild or half of the raid can be completed by 14, 15 mages, a warlock tank, and 4 healing priests, that doesn't scream overtuned to me. Just saying. But anyway, to continue on, not to say that there won't ever be anything in SOD that's hard, but we don't currently believe the critical path of raiding, i.e. clearing the raid each week and getting good gear from it, should be hard in this version of Vanilla Classic. There are other versions of WoW that have very, very difficult content. In fact, there are more versions of WoW than not that have very difficult content. He's not wrong about that. As it stands now, Nomer and even post-nerf ST are vastly more challenging and require more coordination than original WoW. Again, that's a statement that's not untrue. One thing we like about the various flavors of Classic is that in many cases, the difficulty of raiding in WoW or in Vanilla WoW is what players create themselves by pushing their performance in things like speedruns and the like. I think long term we'd like to do better about supporting those types of emergent playstyles, but making raids a brick wall for the average Joe isn't the approach we will likely take. So there's also a lot to unpack there, right there. So in this second paragraph, he's fully stating that they like and I would say behind closed doors, support speedrunning. They like that, like when the communities develop a certain style or a certain margin of gameplay and they would like to support it. Imagine going into like a Nomer, like when Nomer was a thing. I guess I'll use Sunken Temple. Imagine going into Sunken Temple and activating speedrun mode and you turn on a timer and you have 35 minutes to clear Sunken Temple. Some people would jump right on that. Some people wouldn't even touch that with a 20-foot pole. I probably would be interested in that. So I think it's interesting to see him say that. So that kind of does bring hope. Now, making raids a brick wall for the average Joe, I do agree with him that it's probably not the best to do something like that in a level up raid. Sure, there should be difficult fights sporadically, right? I think the difficulty progression thus far in SOD has been pretty solid. BFD wasn't too hard, to be quite honest with you. Even pre-Kelvis nerfs, really wasn't that hard, right? Nomergon was a fair step up. I didn't really see too many changes outside of the armor changes in Nomergon, right? But Nomergon was a fair step up both in difficulty and in mechanics-wise, right? So I think Nomergon was in a pretty good spot. Sunken Temple, had it released in its post-nerf version, probably would be in the same boat as Sunken Temple. But because we saw and kind of got a small taste of difficult Sunken Temple and now we're kind of playing the watered-down version, it's kind of hard to kind of grasp a full theory on it, but I think it'll probably just go down as another raid that's like probably people are gonna say it's too easy because of what came before it, so we'll call it that. And once we hit 60, I think the same thing is gonna be said about Molten Core, 20-man Molten Core. I think Molten Core is gonna come out, and even though Molten Core 40-man wasn't the most difficult raid to ever exist, I think 20-man is going to be even easier. I think people are going to breeze through Molten Core because unless they just do bosses with just straight up different mechanics, unless they like rehaul it, like it's not just copy paste Molten Core from Season of Mastery, people are going to storm through Molten Core like nothing. So we're going to see. But yeah, I do partly agree with him saying that level up raids isn't the place where we want to pour the difficulty in. I wish there was kind of a mix of both, like kind of what I suggested. Like if you have a raid where you can do it regularly, or you can like right click, the raid leader can right click his name and activate speed run mode and, do it just for leaderboards. Like that would be kind of cool too. So yeah. We can go back. We can get out of this. But, I guess I got DC'd. I wonder what happened. Guess I got DC'd. Anyway, when it comes to the difficulty of SOD, I hope they continue to gradually increase the difficulty. I hope they continue to gradually increase the difficulty. I hope that they don't do knee jerk reactions to nerfing things, because I honestly feel like that's what Sunken Temple was. And I hope that if they continue to allow data mining, they just turn on PTR to avoid a lot of these problems. Straight like that. Now, granted, data mining is fun. I like getting a preview of what's happening next phase. I like doing content on and speculation stuff on what I think is going to happen next phase. Like, I like all that stuff, right? But I'm sure I would like discovering that and watching the community discover that stuff on our own as well. Like, if you didn't play phase 1 for SOD and you missed out on the grand expedition of the grand hunt for the Warlock Meta Rune quest, it was I had to be their moment. Moments like that don't really happen in WoW too often, where multiple prominent streamers and all of the community come together to look for something, and they're sharing ideas and theories. Include, like, that shit don't happen in WoW. Like, it don't. So it was nice to see that, but now that that's gone, what does the average person who plays SOD do when something new comes out? They go to Wowhead, they go to Icy Vein, they go to Google, they find where this item comes from, they go to that area, they get their rune, they move on. There really isn't much quote unquote discovery in Season of Discovery, unless you consider going to Wowhead and discovering where you got to go. That's the discovery. There really isn't much discovery though. Like, you go to a major community site, you find out where the item is that you need, you find out how to get it, and you go get it. So that's my 2 cents on that. But other than that, guys, y'all know the drill. We've been running this for a little bit, so I'm going to hop out. I'm going to figure out all of my laundry list of errands to do for this Warlock. And I'll probably stream, if not again, later tonight, maybe tomorrow. I'll put up a video. That's probably what I'll do. But other than that, y'all know the drill. Y'all been great. I've been Soul, and I'm out. Peace. Oh, hold up. I want to thank all of the new commenters, subscribers, all of that good stuff. Like, I think I went up maybe 40 subscribers in the past week or so, and it's been phenomenal. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. We're almost at that 1K mark. I feel like I've been saying that for years, but with the door is or the time is coming. I'm starting to see the finish line ahead. So I really appreciate it, and I thank you. Like, once again, if you're liking what you see, consider liking and subscribing. Other than that, y'all been great, and I've been Soul. I'm out. Peace.